so much for joining us.
Good morning, Sutu. Good morning to the listeners. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So we're talking about the different directions in life.
Correct, ma'am. Correct, ma'am. The title is The 5 Directions of Life. As human beings, we are always faced with various decisions and directions in life. Some are positive and progressive, whereas some tend to be negative and regressive. And today I'd like us to talk about 5 directions that we can take as human beings and the impact that each direction can have on us. Number one is backwards into the past. Sadly, there are many people who live life in the past. They complain and lament about the past. Their focus is on past failures, past mistakes, past hurts, and they tend to live in a in,
Nice, nice.
and they tend to live in a state of regret. And those things can end up dictating the rest of your life if you aren't able to let go and forgive those who hurt you. It's also important to forgive yourself as well where you have been wrong. And when you live life in this direction, you become imprisoned by the past. And the funny thing is that even past success can become a prison. You can get to a point where you believe that what you have done is the best that you can ever do. And the important thing to do as well is to learn from the past, but we shouldn't yearn for the past. People yearn for the business they had, and that stops them from building an even better business. They yearn for the relationship they had, and that stops them from developing an even more fulfilling relationship. And when you live life backwards, it can lead to this next direction. And the next direction is down into desolation. When you walk backwards, it makes it hard to see what happens. It makes it hard to see, and what happens to many people is that they fall into various holes and ditches. If you keep thinking about your past mistakes, your past failures, and you occupy your mind with those regrets, you are likely to fall into depression, fall into all kinds of habits such as alcoholism and drug addiction. A lot of the people who have met those kinds of falls in life are people who had past failures which consumed them so much that they ended up falling into those circumstances. So if you live your life looking backwards, the danger is that you may eventually fall into depression, fall into anxiety, develop negative habits as a way of trying to escape or cope. So the second direction is down into desolation. Number three, sideways into average. Another direction that many people take is sideways into average. There are people who are not going forward or backwards in life. They are just going sideways. They are not growing or improving. And, they've been in that state for many years and they've settled into a life of average. One of the primary causes for this is distractions. The people who live life going sideways are often distracted by various things. Sometimes they try to move forward, but then they get distracted by negative influences, by the wrong kind of friends, by their own fear or doubt. And all those distractions keep calling them to move sideways and keep procrastinating and not making the right type of moves. So, number three is sideways into average. Number four, forward into progress. The people who live life in this direction are those who have a vision for their lives. They not only have a vision, they take the kind of steps that move them towards that vision. They are not perfect people. They also struggle, and sometimes they make mistakes and they move forwards or sideways. Sometimes they even fall. But what separates them from everybody else is that they get up every time they fall. When they make mistakes, they don't dwell on those mistakes for weeks and months and years. They forgive themselves and they keep moving forward. And that's the reason why they progress. The people that are making waves and progressing are no different from the rest of us. The major difference is that they decide to keep progressing and moving forward no matter what failure they meet along the way. And when you move forward into progress, eventually you'll reach the next direction. And that is number five, upward into success. And an aeroplane goes forward before it goes upwards. There's a runway where it needs to accelerate and gain enough pace and momentum so that it can launch into the sky. And it's the same with us human beings. If you live your life looking forward, if you develop a vision and you run towards your vision, eventually you're going to take off and you'll succeed. Some people want to do what helicopters do and they just want to, lift off. But the difference between a helicopter and an aeroplane is the distance that each can cover. An aeroplane is able to cover much more distance than a helicopter. And the people who just want to lift off, who want instant success, tend to not retain their success for long. They don't get very far. But those who have endured the process, who've put in the necessary hours, who've displayed, character and resilience, who keep moving forward even though they face obstacles, those are the people that when they take off, they tend to go so much further. So if you keep moving forward and you keep running, eventually you will elevate and reach new heights of success. Just to recap, we said number one, the first direction backwards into the past. Number two, down into desolation. Number three, sideways into average. Number four, forward into progress. And number five, upward into success. The 5 directions of life.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thankfully, having issues with our systems here, lots of gremlins in the system. But thank you so much for joining us and, of course, for all those pearls of wisdom.
Thank you so much, Sutu. Much appreciated. Cheers.
That was Confidence Cinema, who is our regular motivational speaker.